Today we're taking a look at the 2022 Altera series from PSE. Welcome back to Mike Chargers YouTube, and today we are taking a look at the 2022 Altera series from PSE, and we've got two bows in this series, the standard Altera and the Altera XS. So we are taking a look at both these bows, going to compare the specs on them, likes, differences, all those things, and give you a rundown on this new series of bows. So the speed rating on this bow is coming to you at 330 feet per second. Now PSE has got an IBO rating exactly the same on these bows at 330 feet per second. Now the axle to axle obviously different. The standard Altera is a 33-inch axle to axle bow, while the XS model is a 29 5/8 axle to axle bow. So a much shorter platform there on the XS. Now the overall cam to cam lengths on these bows, the Altera is 39 inches cam to cam, while the XS is only 35.5 inches. So they are a much shorter bow overall. It's going to make it a little different feel. It's for a shorter draw length, smaller framed person. If you need that shorter draw or a shorter bow, it's going to be something you're going to want to look at. And if you're wanting that extra long draw length, then the Altera is probably where you're going to want to be. They both have a 7-inch brace height, while they do have a different reflex on them. It is 2 3/4 on the standard Altera and a 3.5-inch reflex on the riser of the XS. Now they are available in a couple poundages only, so this bow is not available in a full run of colors. It's a dealer only bow going to a select few shops. So you can only get this bow in 60 or 70 pounds and right-handed only. So lefty guys, sorry, you're not gonna be able to pick up one of these new Altera bows. Now the factory spec weight on these bows are coming in at 4 pounds and 3.8 pounds respectively. We threw them on the scale and they are matching exactly. We came in at 4 pounds and 3.8 on the XS. So kudos to PSE for getting this spot on, and the advertised weight is exactly what we're showing on the scales. Now the draw length, there is a difference in the cams. They both have the 4B Evolve style cam. It's based off that Evolve cam that they've had for the last several years, with a few differences. It does not have the adjustable let off. It is only an 80% let off in this cam, and then that is it. It does have the adjustable mod on there, and the difference in these two bows, you're going to be able to go from 26.5 out to a 32-inch draw on the Altera, but you're only going to be able to reach 31 inches on the XS. So you can get that one down to 25.5. So if you need those shorter draw lengths, we're going to point you probably towards the XS. But if you're that guy that needs that 31, 32-inch draw length, I would definitely recommend you swing towards the standard Altera. Now the other thing they built into this bow is a ton of adjustment. You can take 13 turns off of the limb bolts. So you can crank this bow down a lot. It's kind of one of those adjustable bows where you got a ton of draw length and a ton of weight option to be able to move this bow to fit just about anyone. One of the other differences that we noticed between the bows was the grip. Now the standard Altera is coming with the rubberized grip on this bow. Now you are able to take that off with a couple screws if you want to get down to that thin, bare risered, bare aluminum grip on it. You can certainly change that out. While the XS is coming to you with more of a Target style, bare grip, straight to the aluminum. Still got a great feel, real thin in your hand, but you don't have the option of putting a rubberized grip on the XS. Now some of the base features, this is just a midline bow coming with a ton of features, but it does have all the standard features that you expect from all the PSE bows. It's got your single string stop on there, obviously a standard stabilizer hole. It does only have the single rest mount hole instead of a double rest mount hole. We do like to see those double rest mounts just to lock your rest in place, knowing that it won't move. These two models are coming standard with just a single mount hole. Now this bow does come standard with 3 mounting options in the sight window, so you are going to be able to adjust that sight up or down to give you the sight window picture that you want out of this model. Now there was a couple of other upgrades that PSE put on this bow. They went with a roller guard on there, so it doesn't have just your standard cable slide. It's got a full roller guard. It's going to give it a nice feel, so it'll have no chatter and be really smooth coming back through the cable rod on that draw cycle. They also added in the precision bus tuning system, so you've got that precision bus tuning built into the cables, just like their high-end models. If you need to adjust this bow for timing issues, as well as doing any cam lean issues, getting your paper tears during that tuning process, you've got that precision bus tuning system built into this bow and able to make those adjustments fairly easy. Now one of the other things we did notice on this bow that we weren't particularly fond of is the polymer limb pockets. Typically we've seen most bows coming with an aluminum limb pocket. PSE chose to do a polymer limb pocket on this bow. We don't feel that it's really a quality issue because they are going to be still rugged and tough. It's just something that maybe shaved a few ounces for them on it, but it does have that look of a polymer limb pocket rather than a machined aluminum pocket. Now this bow, again, only comes in a couple limited colors. You're going to be able to get it in the charcoal with black limbs, or you're going to be able to get this bow in a tan riser with the mossy oak element limbs. That's the only two options this bow is coming in, just in a limited color palette, but two great looking bows that are going to set it apart from some of the other models on the market. Now the price point on these bows is coming in at $699 on the standard Altera and $649 on the XS. So if you're looking for a mid-price point bow and you're not wanting to spend that $1,000 mark, you definitely want to take a look at some of the Altera series here and pick the one that fits your budget and your platform as far as your draw length and things. So from here, we're going to step over to the lane, shoot these bows over the chronograph as well as the decibel meter, and give you a breakdown on what speeds you're getting on everything from a 350 grain arrow out to a 500 grain arrow. Now, as usual, we will be shooting these bows with a 400 grain arrow to start with to give you that baseline, shooting them at 70 pounds at a 29-inch draw with that 80% let off. Now, we did throw these on the scale, and they are actually peaking at 70.4 pounds on an Altera, and the XS was getting 70.6 pounds, so they're coming in about a half pound heavy over that 70-pound mark, but it shouldn't make over 1 or 2 feet per second difference when we shoot them. So we stepped over here to the lane, and we're going to take a couple shots out of both bows for you and just kind of give you a breakdown on the noise level as well as speeds at all the different weights of arrows. So we're going to start off here with the regular Altera, and we are going to be shooting this bow on 70 pounds at 29-inch draw length, starting with a 400 grain arrow. It is an 80% let off in this cam. Now we did throw it on the scale and we got actually 70.4, so it's coming in just a touch over 70 pounds, so that just gives you an idea of where it's at for these numbers. So let's take a couple shots and we'll give you some specs on this bow. Alright, so with a 400 grain arrow, we've got that one coming in at 293. Just to give you a breakdown on all the other speeds, when we lighten that arrow up to a 350 grain arrow, we got 311 feet per second out of the regular Altera. Again, 293 at 400 grains. And then with a 450 grain arrow, it dropped down to 276 feet per second. And with a 500 grain arrow, it dropped down to 263 feet per second. So not losing a ton of speed, going through those different weights as you weight everything up, getting a little more kinetic energy, but dropping off a little bit as you go. Now, as far as the noise rating on the regular Altera, we've got it coming in at 97.6 decibels. So right there in the middle of most things. Again, not the quietest bow, but certainly not the loudest bow either. And overall, right there kind of where we expected most of the specs to be. Now, as far as the feel on this 4B cam, the draw curve is similar to the Evolve cam. It is built off that Evolve platform. So as you come through that draw curve, it is quite smooth. So it comes over nicely, drops into the back wall pretty well. Now the back wall is not as firm as we would like it to be, and it's certainly not as deep. And that's the 80% let off that we're feeling there. When you're used to a regular Evolve cam coming all the way into that 90% let off, it definitely feels like you're holding nothing. With 80% let off, you're certainly feeling a few extra pounds there at full draw, and you're going to feel it with this bow. So if you're used to those higher let offs, this is probably not where you want to be, because you're not going to get that without going to a flagship bow. But being a mid-price point bow, not having all the features there of the other ones with the adjustable let off, 80% is still a great place to be, and a fairly high let off. Not a terrible feel in the back wall, but it is just a little spongier, and of course you're holding a little more weight. Now, as far as that rubber grip, if you like that fuller grip in your hand with a nice rubberized feel, this is certainly going to be a good grip for you. Now, if you don't like that, you're able to pop that off, a couple screws, slide that grip off. You're going to have that slim aluminum grip on there. It's going to sit in your hand really nice, take a lot of torque out of it. Just depends on what you like and what your personal feel is there on that grip. But you got a couple options with the regular Altera. So overall, just a good feeling bow, and being in that mid-price point, something that PSE has given their dealers to compete out there with some of the box stores and have something different. Now we're going to shoot the XS now and give you a breakdown on those numbers as well. So we've already shot the regular Altera, and now we're going to shoot the XS for you just to give you a breakdown. So this is a little shorter axle-to-axle bow, and just a personal opinion, I don't like a really short axle-to-axle bow personally, but we'll try to give this a fair handshake even based on my personal preference is not being this. I like that longer axle-to-axle bow, but this is the Altera XS, so we'll shoot a few shots here and give you some breakdown on that. Alright, so right out of the gate on speed, now they did IBO the same according to PSE. They're supposed to have the same speeds, but we are not finding that. So the XS is coming in a little bit faster, and with that 400 grain arrow, we got 297. So, you know, about 5 feet a second faster, and we found that kind of across the board. It ran that difference in speed between an XS and a regular Altera. So when we dropped it back to 350 grains on that arrow, we got 317, so we gained about 6 there. Coming down to that 400 again, 297, so just 5 feet a second there. And then as we went to a 450 grain arrow, you got a 283 feet per second out of this bow, being about 6 feet a second different on that one. And then as we came down to a 500 grain arrow, it dropped off to 267, bringing it back down to 5 feet a second difference. So it is coming in a little bit faster than the regular Altera. We kind of expected that. We were a little surprised PSE advertised them with the same IBO speed rating, but that's the advertisements, and what we're seeing is about 5 feet a second difference here today in our testing. Now, as far as the noise rating on the XS, we had that one come in at 96.5 decibels, so really close there on the two bows. Marginal difference, not anything you're going to notice. Just a generally middle-of-the-road quiet bow. Now, from there, the feel of this bow, the grip is definitely different. You don't have that option of a rubberized grip on the XS. I assume being this shorter riser, they just didn't have a place to get it on there. So it is just a straight aluminum grip on this bow. It does have that nice thin feel, nice rounded edges. Going to sit in your hand very well. Now the draw curve on this bow is a little more harsh. Even though it is a shorter axle-to-axle bow, and that's attributing most of it to that factor. It's a little harsher than the 33. It's not quite as smooth, but still has that Evolve-ish feel to it. Now when you get to full draw, this bow wants to go a little more than the 33 does. So at full draw with that 80% let off on that 4B cam, it's not something that personally I'm settling into real well, but it's got a decent feel, but it does want to go a little bit. It's got a little more pull to it when you're sitting there at full draw. It's definitely just wanting to go. From there, overall for the rest of it, not a bad bow. For a mid-price point bow, you've got a couple options here, and if you need that shorter draw length or like that really short axle-to-axle bow, then take a look at the XS over the regular Altera. Again, you're going to have to go to your pro shop, whether it's here at Mike's Archery or another local pro shop around, to pick up one of these bows, because it is a pro shop only bow, available only at a few select dealers. So if an Altera or an XS is something that you're looking for, be sure and give us a call here at Mike's Archery, and we will try to get you set up with one.